The salt air stunned my nostrils as I unlocked the weathered door of what my family mockingly called Emma's Folly. The old beach house creaked in welcome, its worn floorboards familiar under my feet. 3 months had passed since Grandpa Jack left me this supposedly worthless property, and I still couldn't believe what I found in his old study. I'm Emma Chen, architectural historian and preservation specialist. Though my wealthy real estate developer family considers me the black sheep who wastes time studying old buildings. If they'd bothered to understand my work, they might have recognized why Grandpa left me this particular house. "Emma?" called a voice from outside. "You in there?" Mike Rodriguez, my contractor friend, appeared in the doorway, tool belt at the ready. "You sure about this? Hurricane season's coming." I smiled, unrolling the blueprints I'd discovered hidden in Grandpa's study. "Look at these construction dates, Mike, 1878. And these materials specifications." His eyes widened as he studied the drawings. "Wait, these walls, they're not just wood and plaster?" "Nope." I ran my hand along the seemingly ordinary wall. Behind this, pure heart pine, 3-inch thick planks from old-growth forests, worth more than gold these days. And that's just the beginning. The truth about this worthless shack had started revealing itself the day after the will reading, when I'd found Grandpa's letter hidden in his desk. "My dear Emma, they all laughed when you chose to study architectural history instead of real estate development. But you understood something they never will. Real value isn't always visible on the surface. This house has been in our family for 5 generations. I've watched your cousins and aunts dismiss it as worthless, never bothering to look deeper. But you, with your historian's eye, will see what they missed. Look carefully at the original blueprints. Study the construction methods. Remember what you told me about 19th century shipbuilders and their side businesses. Love, Grandpa." That last hint had sent me diving into historical records. Sure enough, the house's original owner had been a master shipbuilder during the height of the maritime trade. The same craftsmen who built trading ships often constructed coastal homes, using techniques and materials that would be priceless today. My phone buzzed. Aunt Margaret, right on schedule. "Emma, dear, have you reconsidered my offer? $50,000 is more than fair for that tear-down property. The land's barely worth that." I thought about the heart pine walls, worth over $400 per square foot in today's market. The hand-forged iron fixtures, the hidden compartments I found designed to store valuable cargo. All things my developer relatives would rip out without a second thought. "Thanks, Aunt Margaret, but I'm keeping it," I texted back. Her reply came quickly. "Don't be stubborn. That place won't survive another hurricane season. Take the money while you can." If she only knew what my structural analysis had revealed. Those thick walls weren't just valuable for their materials. They were part of an ingenious construction system designed to withstand coastal storms. The house had survived every major hurricane for 150 years for a reason. "Found another one," Mike called from the study. He pulled back a section of modern drywall, revealing more treasure. "Original brass fittings. These alone are worth thousands." I nodded, making notes in my preservation plan. Every worthless feature of this house was actually an example of historic craftsmanship that museums and collectors would fight over. The front door slammed open. My cousin Bradley, Aunt Margaret's son, striding in like he owned the place. "Emma, Mom sent me to talk sense into you." "Hello, Bradley," I said calmly, rolling up the blueprints before he could see them. "Still trying to buy my worthless inheritance?" He looked around with exaggerated distaste. "This place is a liability. One big storm and it'll collapse. We're trying to help you." I thought about the steel reinforcement beams hidden inside those old walls, the advanced drainage system that had protected the foundation for centuries. "I appreciate the concern, but I'm good." "You can't afford to maintain it," he pressed. "The insurance alone." "Actually," I cut in, "I've already had it properly insured. Full historical property coverage." That made him pause. "Historical? This old shack?" "You'd be surprised what qualifies," I said vaguely. I did mention that the insurance company's architectural assessor had nearly fainted when he recognized the construction techniques. Bradley left in frustration, no doubt reporting back to Aunt Margaret. Let them think I was being sentimental and stubborn. The truth would come out soon enough. Mike emerged from another room, shaking his head in wonder. Found the original window mechanisms, all brass and bronze, not a speck of rust. They don't make them like this anymore. No, I agreed, they don't. That's why we're documenting everything before the storm hits. He looked up sharply. You're not worried about damage? I smiled, thinking of Grandpa's letter. Actually, I'm counting on a little strategic damage. Just enough to reveal what's behind these modern walls. My phone buzzed again. A message from the Historical Preservation Society. Assessment team ready when you are. Early estimates looking extraordinary. I typed back a quick confirmation and turned to Mike. Let's focus on the East Wing today. That's where the storm's most likely to hit. As we worked, I thought about Grandpa's clever plan. He could have told the family the truth about the house's value, but he knew they'd just try to profit from it quickly, destroying its historical significance in the process. Instead, he left it to the one person who would understand and preserve its true worth. The afternoon light filtered through the original lead glass windows, creating patterns on the floor that had danced there for over a century. Soon, everyone would know this house's secrets. But for now, I enjoyed watching my family underestimate both me and my inheritance. Let them think the coming storm would destroy their worthless shack. In reality, it would reveal just how much they had missed by judging things at face value. Hurricane Maria made landfall at 2 a.m., her winds howling across the coastline. I sat in the beach house's study, listening to the storm while reviewing the final preservation documentation. Everything was prepared. The Historical Society's assessment, the materials analysis, the architectural significance reports. My phone lit up with worried messages from family members. Aunt Margaret, Emma, get out of that death trap now. Bradley, that shack won't last the night. Hope you have good insurance. Cousin Rebecca, OMG, your inheritance is literally blowing away. I smiled, watching the old house weather the storm exactly as its shipbuilder designer had intended. The unique construction methods, hidden behind decades of modern renovations, were about to be revealed to everyone. At 3 a.m., I heard the sound I'd been waiting for, the crack of modern drywall tearing away from the east wall, exposing the treasures beneath. Mike, who'd insisted on staying to help document everything, rushed in with his camera. It's happening, he called over the wind. The cheap modern walls are peeling off just like you predicted. By dawn, the storm had passed, leaving behind a perfect amount of strategic damage. The ugly modern additions had been stripped away, revealing the house's true bones. Heart pine walls gleamed in the morning light. Hand-forged fixtures sparkled. Hidden architectural features, concealed for decades, stood proudly exposed. My phone started ringing immediately. Aunt Margaret, of course. Emma, we're coming to help assess the damage. Don't worry, our development team can handle the demolition. No demolition needed, I cut in calmly, but you should definitely come see this. Bring the whole family. They arrived within the hour. Aunt Margaret, Bradley, and various cousins, all ready to gloat over my destroyed inheritance. They found me in the front room with Mike and Dr. Sarah Chin from the Historical Preservation Society. Oh, Emma, Aunt Margaret began dramatically, then stopped short. What? What is all this? The morning sun streamed through the original lead glass windows, illuminating walls of pure heart pine timber, wood that would cost a fortune to source today. Brass and bronze fixtures, their craftsmanship museum quality, gleamed from every corner. The storm had revealed the house's original glory. This, Dr. Chen said professionally, is one of the finest examples of 19th century maritime architectural preservation we've ever documented. The construction techniques alone are priceless. Bradley stepped forward, his developer's eye finally seeing dollar signs. Priceless? It's just old wood and metal. This old wood, I explained, is hand-hewn heart pine from old-growth forests that no longer exist. Current market value? About $400 per square foot. These walls alone are worth millions. Aunt Margaret sank into an antique chair. Millions? The hand-forged fixtures, I continued, are museum-quality examples of 19th century metalwork. The hidden compartments and structural design reflect unique shipbuilding techniques that historians have only theorized about until now. Dr. Chen nodded enthusiastically. We've already had inquiries from several maritime museums and historical societies. They're particularly interested in the architectural preservation opportunities. Preservation? Bradley interrupted, but the development potential is exactly zero, I finished firmly. Because as of yesterday, this property was officially listed on the National Register of Historic Places. It can never be demolished or significantly altered. The silence was deafening. Aunt Margaret's face had gone from smug to shocked to calculating. Now, Emma, she began sweetly, surely we can discuss this as a family. Actually, I cut in, everything's already arranged. The house will be preserved as a living museum of maritime architecture, with guided tours and educational programs. The Historical Society is providing grants for restoration and maintenance. But what the profit potential, Bradley stammered, is substantial, I agreed, but not from development. The preservation grants, museum fees, and educational programs will generate steady income while maintaining the house's historical integrity, exactly as Grandpa intended. I pulled out his letter, reading it aloud. Real value isn't always visible on the surface. He knew you'd all miss the true worth of this place because you only saw it as a development opportunity. Mike emerged from the study with more photographs. The storm exposed additional features we hadn't even documented yet. The craftsmanship is incredible. Over the next few hours, experts from the Historical Society continued cataloging the house's revealed treasures. Each discovery made my family's faces fall further. The worthless shack they'd mocked was actually a priceless piece of architectural history. The total value, Dr. Chen announced finally, considering the historical significance, materials, and craftsmanship, is conservatively estimated at $8 million. Aunt Margaret nearly fainted. But that's just the monetary value, I added. The historical and educational value is immeasurable. This house will teach future generations about our maritime heritage, architectural innovation, and the importance of preservation. 6 months later, I stood in the fully restored front room, now part of the Maritime Architectural Heritage Museum. The heart pine walls glowed warmly, their rich color deepened by age. Every historical feature had been carefully preserved and documented. School groups toured regularly, learning about shipbuilding techniques and architectural history. Preservation specialists came from around the world to study the unique construction methods. The house had found its true purpose, not as a development opportunity, but as a living piece of history. My phone buzzed. A message from Grandpa's old lawyer. Jack would be proud. You saw what really mattered. Looking out over the ocean through those historic Lee glass windows, I smiled. The house had weathered countless storms over 150 years, protecting its secrets until someone came along who would understand their true value. Aunt Margaret still wasn't speaking to me, though Bradley had surprisingly come around. He even started taking courses in architectural preservation, finally understanding that not all value could be measured in development potential. A tour group gathered in the front room, their faces reflecting wonder as they learned about the house's unique features. Among them, I spotted a young girl taking detailed notes, her eyes shining with interest. "Do you study old buildings?" she asked me during the tour. "Yes," I replied, "because sometimes the most valuable things are the ones others dismiss as worthless." She nodded seriously, writing that down. Another preservationist in the making, perhaps. That evening, as the sunset painted the old house in golden light, I sat in Grandpa's study, now restored to its original glory. On the wall hung 2 items, his letter and the official historic place designation. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about proving others wrong. It's about preserving what's right. The family who dismissed this house as worthless had taught me an invaluable lesson. True worth often lies hidden, waiting for someone who cares enough to look deeper. The next storm season would come, and the house would stand strong, just as it had for generations. But now its secrets were out in the open, its value recognized, its future secure. Not bad for a worthless shack by the sea.